My BF, 25M, cheated on me, 24F, 2 nights ago and I don't know how to process or what to do. My boyfriend and I have been together for about a year. We've gone through a lot of issues with communication and understanding each other, probably due to the fact that we have 2 different cultural backgrounds that are hard to navigate around. Myself being Asian American and him being Mexican. We got into a disagreement 2 nights ago because I told him that he's privileged. I didn't mean it in a way to minimize his hard work and effort or to trivialize the obstacles he's faced being a Mexican immigrant in the United States, but I wanted him to see how blessed he was to have what he does have. His family is capable and willing to pay a large amount of money to help him with a non-payment on his house. He has an amazing job. He has a large family that loves him. He has incredible friends who do anything for him, and his only debt is pretty much his car. I didn't mean it to sound like he isn't hard-working or that he didn't make sacrifices or have obstacles to overcome, but he took it that way. I tried explaining my rationale a bit further and tried to explain to him that if he and I were to have kids, I'm currently working on my master's to get a better paying job, then our combined incomes would make it so that our child, Ren, would lead a better life and have opportunities that not everyone else would have. Sure, they might work hard, but they will also benefit from the work that we both put in, and the work our families before us put in. He took that as me being a gold digger and told me that he can see my true colors now. At the end of the date, he said he wanted to go back to his house to sleep alone without me. Normally we spend the night on date nights, so I agreed and he was off. I was hurt and confused. He ended up texting me at 2 a.m. apologizing for running away from the problem, and he told me I was his best friend and that he loved me. I thanked him for apologizing and I apologized myself and told him I loved him too. I ended up going back to sleep after that and he continued playing video games with his friends at his own place. I woke up around 7 a.m. to him coming over and laying down next to me. I thought he did this just because he missed me and felt bad about the argument, but then he asked me if we could talk and I could just tell from the look on the face that he did something incredibly bad. He cheated on me. He went out with his ex-girlfriend who is married and they were out till around 7 a.m. talking, drinking, and he had sex with her in his car. Of course without protection too. He seemed guilty, but I'm scared that he'll expect me to get over it and never mention it again. I think I handled the situation pretty well. I didn't scream or yell. I didn't call him names. I just thanked him for being honest with me and I tried to console him so he felt better. I know communication is important, but I don't know how to begin the talks about this or tell him how I feel. I don't know how to process or understand what I feel because it all feels so surreal and like it never happened. I'm so hurt, so confused, I'm angry, I feel resentful and bitter. He said he did it because he didn't feel heard, but there were so many times he'd ignore me or just leave me in past arguments, and I have never done this. I've tried so hard to be the best I could be, but I just don't know what to do from here. I need help identifying if the relationship is worth saving, and if so, what is the next step to healing yourself and the relationship after infidelity? How do I talk to him without him getting defensive? And how do I move on and not look at him as a person who betrayed me but the person who I love? Please help because I don't know what to do and I'm too embarrassed to talk to anyone about this. No, it's not worth continuing. You know that already. He did it cause he's a piece of shit, and he tried to blame you cause you are a compassionate person. That was 100% him. My advice with cheaters is to have a zero-tolerance policy. Kick his ass to the curb and never look back. Jesus Christ, this is a major red flag. If you have another argument and he walks out again, who's to say he's not just going to text his ex again for some regretful car sex? He should have been consoling you, not the other way around. Please, if you are, do not repress your emotions. Bottling them up is harmful for your mental health. Considering you feel a strong enough way to ask for advice here, all I can offer is cheating a deal-breaker for you? If so, please consider leaving him. People who cheat are more likely to cheat again, and by staying you could be inflicting more emotional pain in yourself. I find this problem to be less about the argument but the response to an argument. I just thanked him for being honest with me and I tried to console him so he would feel better. It doesn't really matter what advice we give you. That reaction is pretty telling that you'll stay with him anyway. Consoling someone who cheated on you isn't a normal reaction, nor is it handling the situation pretty well. Lol, is this a serious question? How can you not a breakup after this? That's the only way your relationship is going to end, if not now, in the future. WTF. No, it's not worth saving. He fucked someone else and yes, you handled it correctly. You didn't scream or call him names. You can now see his true colors, and those colors are ugly. You know what to do. Kick his ass out and let her husband know, too. Break up. Trust is the most important part of a relationship and he broke that. My 21F boyfriend, 24M, is thinking about being friends with his ex. Hi guys. To start, my boyfriend and I have been together for 2.5 years. Him and his ex were together for 1.5. That was his first lover. They had a pretty rough breakup from what I heard. He cheated on her once, which he told her right after and owns up to it. They still continued the relationship after that. A little while later he fell out of love and she was distant, so they both decided to break up. He was very close with her family, they were like his own. He says that he was more sad about the breakup because of her family than actually her. Her family, mom mainly, also kinda hopes they get back together. He says they're two different people and the type of person she is never clicked with him. When they broke up he says he immediately cut her off, even though technically there wasn't bad blood b.w. them, and when she would try to contact him he would basically tell her to back off. A year into our relationship, he asks me if it's okay to clear any tension there is b.w. them. He tells me I can read the messages or even be there if I want. So I said, yeah, I don't mind. That happened and he told me to read the messages even though I didn't want to because I trust him, but he still wanted me to know it was a mature conversation with nothing else to it. Every now and then she messages him giving show and movie recommendations, which I also don't mind, and he tells me every time she does. Her brother also calls him to chat once a year to catch up with him. It was his birthday and she wished him one, but he said when it was her birthday he didn't and now he feels bad. He said he didn't because he thought that was the norm to just kind of caught of your ex and that was it, when really he didn't want to do that, but society kind of pushes that. He told her he had a girlfriend 1.5 after we were in a relationship. I asked him why he didn't tell me sooner and he said, I didn't want to hurt her feelings because in the past, when we broke up, I would rub it in her face that I had someone new. But now she knows. When I was at his house today, he asked me he was thinking about becoming her friend again but wanted to see my thoughts on it first. I told him, well, before that, how would you feel if the roles were reversed? And he said he would be okay with it as long as it's not consistent. But honestly, I doubt that is true. I told him I feel iffy about them. I said it was cool if they messaged her and there but not FaceTiming. He asked about just calling OTP and I said I am not too comfortable with that either, but also not shutting it down. Like my concern isn't with him, it's more with her. I know him, but I don't know her, and if she would try to do something, does that make sense? She lives a few hours away by plane from us and he says if she ever came to where we live he would invite her over for dinner with us and take her out. He also says that when we get married this is a person he would want our kids to meet and all. He says he wants to know everything I'm feeling about this because he loves me, wants to be with him and wants me to be comfortable with it all, and doesn't want me to lie to be the laid-back girlfriend. IDK if I am just being insecure. Or I have like some sort of right to be uncomfortable with it, but I am still not sure how I feel about it all honestly. Anyone go through anything similar? Elder. My 21F boyfriend, 24M, is thinking about being friends with his ex after not talking to each other for a while. Also, we have yet to finish talking about it. Thank you. You say your concern is that you don't know her and you're worried about what she could do. What could she do, though? She can't force him to cheat against his will. If you trust him, you also have to trust that he'll shut it down if she initiates anything. Your boyfriend sure is spending a lot of time making you both think about his ex. I don't know, this just seems really weird to me. Like maybe I'm insecure, but if my husband told me when we were dating all about this girl he was still obsessed with but didn't want to date, I'd be confused. Is it some kind of weird guilt complex? Why does he need to be friends with her? What about her is so appealing that he needs this contact with her? If it's just to make sure she's doing okay, then why not let that be a topic during his chat with her brother? I don't know, it's all weird to me, but maybe I just don't get it. I'm interested to see other commenters' takes on this. In my opinion, he's making this weird by thinking about it and talking about it so much. If my partner was just like, hey, I'm grabbing coffee with X to catch up, I'd be like, okay, gotcha. Let me know how it goes. But the fact that he's so torn up about it means to me he's considering it more than just friends. I personally don't see the purpose of most people being friends with their ex. Sure, there are exceptions to that, but I don't think this is one. It's just asking for someone to be hurt. You get hurt if they get too close, or one of them gets hurt if they develop feelings or can't move on with their lives because they're hanging on to a thread of hope. Maybe I'm cynical or heartless when it comes to this topic, but I fall on the side of cutting that person out of your life. Unless there are kids involved or some other good reason. Again, this is not it. I know this isn't common, but I was with my ex for 5 or 6 years, and about a year after we broke up I met my now wife, together 5 years. I stayed in contact with my ex, we were in the same friend group and such as well, so we'd still hang out. My wife thought it was weird at first, but now they've been best friends for 3 years and she was a bridesmaid in the wedding, so I don't know, it's not weird for me to still be friends with the ex. IDK about this. All of your evidence is based on his recollection, anecdotes. I definitely would have looked at the texts, and been with him when he sent them. Nonetheless, I'd be annoyed that he is so focused on rebuilding a relationship with her. We probably would have argued, because ain't no way you're planning to put your ex of a year in our wedding, bye. Good luck though op. If you're feeling uneasy there's probably a good reason to. Probably it's nothing severe, but if you're worried about them then I'd say your boyfriend isn't clear enough about what he wants. My ex isn't someone who I like coming up in my conversations. As someone who is in the same friend group as my ex, it's not out of the ordinary to see and talk to my ex one-on-one. My current partner is also friends with my ex and he doesn't have a problem with that. It's clear that I don't like my ex, we broke up for a reason and my feelings faded. Did I F up by ruining my girlfriend's birthday? Okay, I need some cold hard advice here. I was planning a trip for my girlfriend's birthday, 25F and 25F, which is today. I got a nice Airbnb and we were both really looking forward to it for weeks and spending quality time together. To give some background, my girlfriend has had major issues with alcohol in the past, including rehab stints, outpatient, etc. I was aware of this when we first met, but believe everyone is capable of change and didn't want to judge or be controlling. That is until I saw it with my own eyes. To make things short, over time I have seen her where she cannot control her alcohol. She gets to the point of falling, rudeness, and even hit me once. It may sound dramatic, but it's extremely painful and triggering. I work with a therapist on it, but it is something that deeply affects me. She is aware of this and we have tried everything including couples counseling, AA meetings, having sober months together, etc. About a month ago she told me she wanted to resume drinking again. I didn't want to be controlling because I truly believe that is not my place. Things were going well with this and she drank in moderation and I thought it finally was going to stop being an issue. Yesterday we left for the B-Day trip and we were having a great time. I was picking up the tab so she was asking me if she could have another drink at lunch. It was her B-Day so I just let it slide and hoped for the best and tried to enjoy her day and the trip. We then went to the grocery store and she told me she wanted to have beer at the Airbnb so she grabbed 10 and put them in the cart. I told her I didn't want to drink that much and she said that's okay. Considering it was her B-Day and I wanted her to have a good time I just let it slide again and paid for the beers. When we got to the Airbnb I was exhausted so I took a short nap. When I woke up I noticed her acting drunker. She told me she had 2 of the beers. I just let it slide again because I didn't want to start an issue on her B-Day trip, but it was starting to bother me. We went to dinner and I told her maybe she can chill a bit as I also wasn't drinking that much and she stormed out of the restaurant. We eventually made up and went back to the Airbnb. This is when things really started to take a turn for the worst. She then proceeded to have more beers until she got tired enough to go to bed. She was very drunk at this point and I was visibly upset but tried to hide it because, again, birthday. When we woke up this morning we spoke about it briefly but just let it slide as I wanted her to enjoy her day today. I took her to lunch and it was fine. I was extremely upset from last night but tried to bottle it up to not ruin the day. On the drive home I guess she could read my energy because she asked what was wrong and I cracked and told her I thought she drank too much last night and that it really hurt and bothered me. This spiraled into both of us crying and arguing about it as she said it was her birthday and didn't do anything wrong while I told her she put me in an extremely painful position and that it was hurtful. I now feel like absolute shit for completely ruining her birthday and making her cry. Did I screw up here? She's an alcoholic and you're codependent. This is an unhealthy relationship for both of you. She needs a rehab program and AA and you need to stop enabling her and you need to work on yourself to get stronger because it's not your responsibility to save her. My ex is an addict. In the end it was his choice. Me, us or the substance. He has chosen the latter. It's been 15 years. Not once I regretted being the second choice. He gave me an out to a healthy and happy life. It's her choice. Projecting your expectations on someone who is not willing to change is just an uphill battle that will cause hurt and resentment on both parties. You said, "I let it slide," like 4 or 5 times. At that point, it becomes enablement. It was her b-day, so I just let it slide and hoped for the best. I wanted her to have a good time, I just let it slide again. I just let it slide again because I didn't want to start an issue. We spoke about it briefly but just let it slide. Your girlfriend is a violent alcoholic who has stuck you when drunk. That's her issue that she needs to deal with, and while you can offer support, only she can fix herself. You didn't fuck up or ruin your GF's birthday. She did that when she brought alcohol into the situation. For your own safety, both physical and mental, you need to stop your enabling behavior. She cannot handle drinking, and you should not have been exposed to it. You need to learn to say no the first time. You did not screw up, but if you're committed to her, you might benefit from joining some Al-Anon groups. They helped keep me from sliding into a codependent pit of misery with my alcoholic ex. Focus on yourself, buddy. This is a toxic relationship, especially for you. You'll be worn down, and before you realize it, you'll be broken. You can't seal a crack on a dam using tape. You should dump your physically abusive, alcoholic girlfriend. She ruined her birthday by drinking. You not wanting your alcoholic girlfriend to drink was perfectly reasonable. Your only mistake was not taking a harder line. She clearly should not be drinking at all, and you need to not enable her. Father of my kids doesn't want to marry me, should I leave? Hi y'all, my 29F boyfriend, 32 male, and I have been together for 3 years now, and we have 2 wonderful children. Our love started as a really strong friendship that blossomed into love. He is a very emotionally mature and responsible partner, not to mention an amazing father. I love the life we've built together and have no complaints, except for one: he won't marry me. Marriage was something we didn't really discuss throughout our relationship. I thought maybe a couple of years into it he would propose. Things were always amazing between us, so I had no doubt this would happen. But 3 years later I finally felt I should speak up and ask him if he ever saw us getting married. He said he didn't believe in marriage and that he would never marry, and that he hoped I didn't feel less loved by this fact. That fact was not a reflection of his love for me or our relationship. I was absolutely heartbroken, but I managed to validate his feelings after a long discussion as to why he felt this way. Getting married and all that it entails was something I always looked forward to. The proposal, the wedding, the pictures, taking my husband's last name. To me, this is something I surely saw for myself, to share with the person I would spend the rest of my life with. I agree we should have talked about this earlier, but alas, here we are, and now I feel torn. He asked me if this would be a problem, and I said yes. He looked sort of stunned by my response, but I can't pretend that I can be happy without this. I don't see myself being truly fulfilled without this. But I am strong and smart enough to know it's not about me. This has to do with his childhood, and I accept that. I just don't know if I can accept it for myself and my life. I told him this might be a deal-breaker. He was really hurt and asked me if I would really consider leaving him if marriage wasn't an option. I said, I think so, yes, and he said he couldn't understand how I could possibly leave when we have something concrete, whilst what I year for is pictures and a paper. He said his commitment has and will always be there, and even if we got married tomorrow it wouldn't change a thing for him, and that he has always been a committed partner and father. This is true. This man has been there for me and supported me and always puts me and our children first. He is the perfect partner, but I still want more. I'm not ungrateful. Rather, I still feel like one of my greatest needs and wants remains unfulfilled, and I would never give him an ultimatum, but should I just suppress and kill those dreams? I want the perfect partner and marriage. Is this selfish of me given that I already have an amazing partner and a life I love? I don't know what to do. I feel heartbroken and torn. Do you know why he's opposed to getting married? Having children together is objectively much more of a commitment than marriage. I'm pretty stunned that you two didn't discuss this issue before bringing 2 children into the game. I left my high school boyfriend because he didn't ever want to get married. He was very against it because of his parents' divorce. I also suffered through my parents' divorce, but saw the upside to marriage. I am currently married, and just celebrated our 3rd wedding anniversary. I don't know what you should do. I don't know what country you are in, and what you are entitled to if he decides to up and leave. You've definitely put yourself in a scary situation. Good luck. Edit. This is what you get for making assumptions about other people's feelings, beliefs. It's important to ask people questions, and not just assume they will feel the same way you do. If nothing will change if you get married tomorrow, then why not? If nothing changed, then let's get married. If it's just pictures and a piece of paper, what's his problem? To keep you happy. If you go into 2 kids and never talked about marriage before, he is not the only in the wrong here. You assumed you would eventually do it, and he assumed you were just fine like that. This is probably something that needs to come out into the conversation in early days of dating. The only selfish part one see is that you already have children. If there were not children involved, I say, if marriage is that important to you, then go try to find someone else you love and get along with to marry. But life is no longer about just what you want and need. You children's mental and physical well-being is the most important thing now, and I cannot recommend you break up what is an otherwise happy, healthy family unit just so you can find someone else to marry. Maybe there is a compromise that can be had. Can you get rings, legally change your name to his, and even have photos taken but not officially, legally get married? Marriage should have been discussed before even having kids, not the other way around. That's the logical and chronological topics to be discussed from what I remember. Have things changed this much after a decade? Well, now you have to discuss the hard topic of marriage. If you are not aligned to where your relationship is going, you both have to decide where you want to end up. If your end goals don't match, I think you both have to decide wherein both of you are happy. Neither of you are wrong here. If it's a deal breaker for you, that's perfectly fine, but you will have to leave and find somebody that wants to be married.